say after that?
Clearly they're shattered. We came down here to win, and we didn't. So that's the reality of it. So clearly there's disappointment in the rooms. So we need to work through that. But there's lots of things in the game. The little things become the moments, and the moments become the big things. And ultimately, when you go through a game like that, a lot of the little things add up, and you end up with the result you get. So we need to learn from that. We need to be better than that. I think we're past the point of having admirable losses. We want to be a club that starts to win and win these type of games. So that was the feeling in the rooms afterwards.
You feel like out of the game, I guess where did it come unstuck in that last quarter?
I was pretty clear where it came unstuck. We got beaten around the footy, minus in the contest we were down, stoppage clearance we were down, and every time the ball went into their forward 50 they scored. I think they had 12 entries for 8 goals, so it was pretty clear where we broke down in the last quarter. And to their credit, I thought the will and the want of Ablett, Kelly, Duncan, Dangerfield, Selwood, I thought they were outstanding in the last quarter, and they're a mature group, so that's something that we've got to endure for a bit longer than what we did tonight.
Is there any stage of three-quarter time that they maybe thought about the 4 points rather than thinking about the final 30 minutes?
Not at all. No, if you break it down, it's our boys are up for the fight, and they're up for the fight for the majority of the night. We just weren't efficient. We still kept them to 12 inside 50s in the last quarter. It wasn't an avalanche by any stretch, but they just scored when they went in. We put some numbers back. But three-quarter time, the boys were really positive. They were liking the way they played. They knew they had to really stand up, especially around contest and clearance in the last quarter, because we knew that's where their real strength is. So we knew that was going to be a battle in the last quarter, and we just didn't get it done.
Is there anything you could have done in hindsight?
Yeah, look, we tried a few things. We put a number behind the ball to try and shore up our D50. Then we tried to shore up the contest because that was getting out of whack. So there was a number of things that we did, and there were some things that worked in the last quarter and probably resurrected some of the momentum sort of halfway through that last quarter, but we just weren't able to sustain it for long enough.
Max coming off late there, 70, 80 seconds. Do you think that had an impact at all?
Oh, it's not ideal when your number one ruckman's off the ground. So we'd love him to be out there. It's an important part of the game, finishing games off. So that is what it is. That's the rules.
It's another loss to a top side, and obviously at a really critical time of the season. Is there any chance that it sows some doubt among the playing group about whether they're ready to take that next step, and how do you address that?
No, not at all. As I said, we came down here to win. We played in a manner that was capable of winning. We didn't get it done. Now, our group's got belief that they can beat anyone wherever they want to play. So we'll continue to forge ahead. We've got to keep learning. As I said, I think we're past the point of having admirable losses. So, I think we got taught a lesson in the last quarter by a really mature midfield group. And I think that's a good experience for our group, but we need to be better if we want to take that next step.
Harms did a good job on Selwood most of the game. Ablett was obviously on fire in that last quarter. Were you thinking of what you could do to help him? I know it's hard.
Yeah, it's tough. We had Harms do a job on Selwood. Half time we moved him, or sort of back into the second quarter we moved him onto Dangerfield, and then in the last quarter Gary bobbed up. So we had a lot of discussion around that, but you're talking about 3 champions of the game. You stop one and the other one bobs up. So that's where our growth is, really.
I think watching back you'll find a few moments of composure where there was just a few game sense moments where players played on and maybe didn't take time that they should have, in hindsight.
Yeah, that's the little things that we're talking about. The clock management late in games, the ability to just understand where the game is. Taking your full 30 seconds when you're having a shot at goal. They're the little things. Taking the ball out of bounds rather than it going through for a point. They're the little things late in games that really add up. And that's the difference between winning and losing in these really tight contests. So they're the things that we need to get better at, but we need to keep exposing ourselves to this type of environment. So, we worked hard as a club to get to this point where we keep exposing ourselves in games like this and environments like this. And we're not that far away. We're so close it isn't funny.
I think your plan kind of worked to a certain extent. Obviously, it's one kick, so you must take some confidence from that, even though you shattered.
Yeah, we do. We came here with a pretty clear plan, and for the majority of the night, it worked really strongly. The last quarter certainly didn't go the way we'd planned, but to the boys' credit, they implemented a lot of the things we did. We had to adjust a little bit on the run throughout the night, but I thought the boys played with the right intent. But there's still learnings to be had late in the game.
Clayton Ivey used him forward a little bit tonight as well. You must be happy with his output to finish with 40 as well.
Yeah, look, he's growing as a player. We'll continue to expose Clayton, Angus Brayshaw and Christian Petrarca through that forward line. I think they're three really, obviously, talented midfielders, but also can go forward and have an impact. So that's something we'll continue to have a look at and continue to grow in our game.
Just that.
Probably that last quarter, you throw him into the middle there. You take a lot of confidence that in big games to come, that's a weapon you can have?
Yeah, look, I think all those guys have got some attributes that will stand up, in big games. It's, as I said, this sort of exposure for those guys in this environment tonight is really beneficial. I thought Christian's last quarter was really strong.
You say it's so close, which it is. What do you need to actually go that next point?
Continue to expose ourselves and learn from these type of games. I think you saw tonight a mature midfield group that's been in this situation a lot. Their real will to win the contest around the clearance and the importance of that really stood out, and that's our challenge as a club. You just got to find a way in games like this, and we'll keep exposing ourselves, but you can judge by the players' reactions tonight. They're getting pretty sick and tired of being in this position and letting it go.
Just that ruck infringement, I think in the second quarter, Dangerfield gets held off the footy by Brayshaw. What did you make of that? Because Bernie Vince in the audio can be heard saying, he might have been having a laugh, but is it because of Dangerfield? What did you make of that situation?
I guess the rule's the rule. But how Angus Brayshaw is meant to know that Patrick Dangerfield's going up in the ruck from 10 metres away is staggering. So, we'll obviously get some clarification, but that's the rule. Got exposed on that play, and it's a goal we don't get back.
The nomination rule is not a great rule, essentially.
I'll let you guys judge that.
Did Gus say something with the helmet? Did he mention that he might have been able to hear because of the helmet?
I haven't spoken to him about it.
What do you make of the ruck battle, generally?
Yeah, look, I thought Max probably wasn't at his best in terms of the ruck. I thought he had a really strong third quarter, but I thought Stanley competed pretty well against him. We got beaten in score some stoppage and clearance on the night. So that was an area that we wanted to win, and obviously they got the better of us, especially late in the game.
He went down and got booed for the rest of the night. What did he get? Did he just get winded, or do you know what happened?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'll have to follow it up with him. I'm not sure why he went down, but I'll have to have a look at that.
Did you fall in the trap a bit early, maybe blazing away? The Stewart and Blitzabs were taking a lot of intercept marks down there.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to have to keep getting better at. Just in our periods of dominance in the game, we still need to find a little bit more composure inside forward 50. It's improving, but there's still areas that we can continue to grow in that game. And when you have that periods of dominance, you really do need to maximise them. And we're still just missing some opportunities. Probably in the end we had 28 scoring shots, but there's some easy ones that we probably left out there.